they haven't even got over the French or American revolutions yet, you know? Like, we moved forward too much in 1776 for Dennis Prager.
This Pope is much more concerned with global warming than with mockery of Christianity. So
how dare the Pope be more concerned with, if it turns out to be as bad as it could be, the end of human civilization due to us fucking up our own planet over some Christians getting offended at a fucking opening ceremony that wasn't even directed at the Last Supper. How dare the Pope, you know?
Having to say a word about what was done at the opening of the Olympics in Paris, where in the Last Supper, one of the most important scenes in the New Testament, is mocked. I mean, big time.
Over the weekend,
Okay, so before we continue, we all know, you all know that that wasn't the Last Supper, right? Just, now, you know, it's worth pointing out, but also, with Prager and other right-wing media figures, it doesn't matter that we point out it was the Feast of Dionysus, because they'll just continue saying it was the Last Supper, right? Because, of course, that is how they're gonna drive the moral panic and outrage. But it was the Feast of Dionysus, you know? And we know this because here's Reuters with the organizer of the ceremony. It was not my inspiration, the Christian Last Supper, Jolly said in French. There is Dionysus, who is at this table. He is there because he is the god of celebration in Greek mythology, the god of wine, who is one of the jewels of France. Right. Now, is Dennis Prager going to be a snowflake about this? Surely he wouldn't be that obviously contradictory. We'll see.
the Olympics kicked off Friday in Paris. Woo! All right. But then there was instant controversy over an opening number featuring drag performers that some people said was a blasphemous take on Da Vinci.
Dude, it is amazing. Like, it's some combination of disingenuous, like, insidious fear-mongering and or just being an idiot, right? Because, like, no right-wing pundits looked at this and were like, I don't know, man, this doesn't really look like Jesus. Neither do any, like, this isn't even supposed to be like a you know, like zesty version of Jesus, right? This is just not the Last Supper. Like, pretty clearly.
She's painting the Last Supper.
I'm shaking my head because I'm not shocked. It's a perfect illustration of something that I have, two things that I have been saying for decades. Number one, the great battle in Western civilization is between the left and the Bible. That's the battle. I'm not Christian in saying this, as most.
Wait, that's weird, Dennis, because so 63% of Democrats are Christian in a majority Christian country. So, I don't know, Dennis. I mean, it seems like, I don't know, people who lean left, you know, like a lot of them are Christians. So, I mean, you might need to ask them about that, but they might disagree. And also, it's not about the left versus the Bible. Most of the left doesn't give a fuck about the Bible. Just keep it out of civil society. Like, don't use it to govern. That's it. You know, we agree with the founding fathers on this one. They figured it out a long time ago, and they were correct. Dennis won't admit it, but he disagrees. You know, the founding fathers, highly flawed individuals, but they got some things correct, and this was one of them, you know? Dennis, if you could, like, import Dennis back to, like, the founding of the country, he would be arguing, like, how is the society going to know the norms and the rules without the guiding light of the Old and New Testament? Like, he'd be doing that bit, you know? Meanwhile, like, fucking Jefferson is like, dog, we just fought a war to, like, not have the church be so powerful in the state.
You know, I'm a committed and practicing Jew. But just a little tangent. All of these headlines, Christians offended by, Catholics offended by opening scene in the Paris Olympics. You don't have to be Christian to be offended by that. It's like...
Yeah, I guess the only people who should be offended by it are like Greek neo-pagans, you know? Also, this is so weird how, like, these guys are constantly, like, he just did it. He's like, this is a war between the West and the left and the Bible, and the left hates the Bible, and Western civilization is under attack. Meanwhile, they do a, like, recreation of the Feast of Dionysus, an Athenian Greek play. You know, I don't know how much more, like, Western canon you can get, you know, like early Western canon. I don't know how much more Western you can get than fucking Athens, you know? And then Dennis is like losing his shit about it. Why? And yeah, dude, they have drag queens in it. I don't know, man. The Greeks were like not exactly like sexually conservative, you know? Like it's just weird that these people all like simultaneously are like, I am the great, we are the defenders of Western civilization, and then the Olympics do a fucking opening ceremony of a Athenian Greek play, and they're like, this is a attack on Western civilization. It's like, you gotta pick, dude. You can't just look at the shit in the history of the West, whatever that means. It means whatever they kind of want it to mean, right? But fucking, you know, Europe, Western Europe, you can't just look at that and just pick the shit out of the history of the West that you like and jettison the other shit and then say you're like the continuation of the Western tradition.
People now think in terms of what group are you in, and then we'll understand your reaction. I mean, do you have to be a Jew to side with Israel against those who wish to exterminate it, who have announced that's their intent, who drop a bomb on kids playing soccer?
Who's dropping bombs on kids? Hamas? I don't think Hamas is, you know, Hamas has some bombs, but, you know, the biggest dropper of bombs on children right now is Israel by a lot.
So it's, do you have to be a Christian to be offended by the mockery of Christianity that took place at the Paris Olympics?
No, you just have to be a snowflake.
Or for that matter, in American terms, that the Los Angeles Dodgers baseball team didn't really allow, honored a group mocking nuns. They honored them. Tangent.
Nuns. No, there are some good nuns, but a lot of nuns are fucking they deserve some mockery, you know? There's some fucking evil nuns out there. You people who grew up Catholic, you know.
Number two, well, I promise to return. Tangent number two is there's no mockery ever of Islam. And there's let's be very honest. There is a lot.
Really, Dennis? If we go on Twitter right now, we can't find any conservatives mocking Muslims? Come on. There wasn't any people making like Ahalu Akbar jokes after 9/11. Come on, bro. There's plenty out there. Also, you know, I will admit that like conservatives tend to not make that many jokes. They kind of are just like, well, Muslims are barbarians, and also Israel should keep bombing them. You know, like they don't make that many like jokes. They're just kind of like, they deserve to die. You know, like you guys are fine with just killing a bunch of them. So that might outweigh any jokes made at the expense of Christians. You know.
A lot more bad things, a lot more evil coming out of the Islamic world than out of the Christian world. And it doesn't mean at all that all Muslims are bad or anything like that, but there's no comparison. On the
Well, like you would need to like assess a claim like that historically, right? You know, the Christian world isn't exactly historically passive. You know, there's been plenty of evil justified through the lens of Christianity.
list that the U.S. government has put out of the,
including people who support Israel right now, who say like, well, we're evangelical Christians and we need to support Israel in its fucking slaughter of Palestinians so that the Jews have control of Israel so that the rapture can happen, you know?
20 top religious terror organizations. All 20 are Muslim. Do you know of a Christian terror organization or a Jewish terror organization, Buddhist terror?
Well, there's certainly like domestic terror organizations that are Christian. Yeah. So I think Dennis was looking at foreign terrorist organizations, you know? Not domestic ones, because of course all the domestic terrorist organizations are like right-wing Christian ones. They're like Christian nationalist groups, right? Army of God. It's a loose network of individuals connected by ideological affinity and determination to use force to end abortion in the United States. I'm going to go ahead and assume that most of those are Christians. Aryan nations. White nationalist. Of course, Aryan nations. I would say most of them would consider themselves to be pretty Christian. You know, white national and Christian nationalism tend to coincide. The covenant, the sword, and the arm of the Lord. Christian. Oh, here's a Jewish one. Dennis is right. There's not very many Jewish ones. Kind of Christians and Muslims, you know, fighting for the top spot here, but the KKK. Forgot about that one. Yeah, so, you know, the point is I think Dennis is being sneaky here, and that list he's pulling from is foreign terrorist organizations. Yeah, the idea there was a Christian terrorist organization where I grew up that bombed the Planned Parenthood facilities in my city. Like, not that long ago, you know? If the conditions in America were anything like the conditions in the Middle East as a result of, like, U.S. imperial influence, you know, there would be more of them, right? But, yeah, sneaky. You're being sneaky there, Dennis. Foreign terrorist organizations.
Or of Jewish terror organization, Buddhist terror organization, Shinto terror organization, Hindu terror organization. But they would never mock Islam.
I'm not going to stop this to look it up, but I'm going to assume that all of those probably exist.
Because they're cowards. They know they'll get hurt. Whereas if you mock Christians, the Pope didn't even say anything, at least as of this broadcast. The Pope has not said anything, which I'm not surprised. This Pope is much more concerned with global warming than with mockery of Christianity. So
how dare the Pope be more concerned with, if it turns out to be as bad as it could be, the end of human civilization due to us fucking up our own planet over some Christians getting offended at a fucking opening ceremony that wasn't even directed at the Last Supper. How dare the Pope, you know?
There's so much going on here. These tangents are as important as the point I make. So you don't have to be a Christian to be offended. I'm a Jew and I'm offended. It's just offensive. So again, the point number one that I've been making so long is that the battle in the modern world is between the Bible and the left. The left has contempt and often hatred for the Bible. The Bible is the antithesis of leftism. Not liberalism, I always make the distinction, but leftism.
No, you don't, Dennis. Come on, you don't make that distinction. Dennis will call, like, Joe Biden a Marxist, you know? He'll be like, Joe Biden is a radical Marxist. Because, like, he like, increased the top marginal tax to 35% instead of 20%, you know?
And the left took over the preparation or the opening ceremony for the Paris Olympics. The other point that I've been making is we are not in a post-Christian or really post-Judeo-Christian age. We are entering a pre-Judeo-Christian age. We are going back to the pagan world prior to the Bible.
Yeah, I don't think that's how time works, Dennis. Either we're in a post-Christian age, which clearly we're not. Most of this country and the rest of the countries that we would consider to be part of the West are Christian, you know? But either we're in just a Christian age where, like, Christianity's kind of, you know, kind of waning but still has a pretty good stronghold, or we're in a post-Christian age because, you know, people, like, gave up on it or whatever. But we're definitely not in a pre-Christian age because we can't go back in time, right?
We are going back 3,000 years. We're not moving forward at all. And by the way, the people who made the skit.
Oh, we're not moving forward? Dennis, why is that, you know? Could it be because reactionaries like you thwart it at every chance you get? Like, if you have any power at all and we try to move forward in any way, you guys go, no, we can't move forward because I'm a reactionary and the current power structures are the best ones. No, we can't move forward because if we do, I have a bad, icky feeling about it because, like, I like the power structures the way they are, so I have to resist it. Like, it's because of you, Dennis. And people like you. You don't want to move forward. You're sitting here fucking whinging about an opening ceremony, which is just a performance about a Western play that wasn't even about or directed at Christianity. And you're like whining because like it was offensive to the silent majority or whatever. What the fuck?
Mocking the Last Supper said,
really, there was never an intention to show disrespect to any religious group. On the contrary, I think that Thomas Joly really tried to really intend to celebrate community tolerance. That was his word yesterday. And looking at the result of the polls that we shared, we believe that this ambition was achieved. If people have taken any offense, we are, of course, really, really sorry.
Right. But let's say that all we did was celebrate paganism, which they did. That's exactly right. It's quite...
Wait. So? Again, this is what I mean by reactionaries being like, they haven't even got over the French or American revolutions yet, Like, one of the defining characteristics of the American Revolution was fucking freedom of religion. And that's too much. Like we moved forward too much in 1776 for Dennis Prager, These people, they're not even, they're just doing a play. And Dennis is like, that's fucking heresy and paganism, and they should be burned at the stake. He's like, we're not moving forward in time. It's like, yeah, Dennis, because you won't let us. You won't let us. You haven't even gotten over freedom of religion yet. Of course, when people like you have billionaire dark money and are broadcasting the fact that you think that it's offensive to do a fucking pagan reenactment of a fucking Greek play. Of course we haven't moved forward, There's too many of you out there to move forward right now. Dennis would have been, he would have been a monarchist in the fucking American and French revolutions, He'd be like, whoa, fucking religious freedom. That's we're gonna descend into anarchy.
Quite remarkable that the International Olympic Committee allowed it, that the French are proud of it. The president of France, Macron, said how proud he was of that skit.
Le ministère de l'Intérieur et tous les services au COJO, en passant par les artistes, un immense bravo, on est super fiers. Vous avez fait rayonner la France. Bravo! 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 Bravo!
That's mind-blowing.
The left are too easily offended and they're snowflakes, and when we say trans people are degenerate viruses infecting Western civilization, they're being too sensitive. But if they do a play from Athens, a Greek play, not the Last Supper, but I interpret it as the Last Supper, I'm going to be very offended because that's pagan and anti-Western, even though it's Western, but it's pre the time that I want to consider Western, and we're descending into paganism, and we're not moving forward, but it's definitely not because of me. How many views does this have? Fuck, it's so depressing. 263k. Okay, well, kind of relatively low for a PragerU video, but fuck me. 3.31 million subscribers. Remember, guys, this was approved for teaching kids in the state of Florida. You know, this rigorous academic work here.